See, here you people are clear. Now comes approaches to strong AI. Now, there are two separate ideas of artificial intelligence. The first one is artificial narrow intelligence, and the second one is artificial general intelligence. You can say that artificial general intelligence or artificial, you can say it like this strong AI. For the weak AI, you can say it like artificial narrow intelligence or weak AI. So you can correlate over here. Now, the first point, what comes under weak AI and what comes under the strong AI. So the very first thing that comes under the strong AI, that if any human is not able to make a decision or get you the answer within a second of thought, then it comes under strong AI. And if a human is able to give the answer within a second of thought, then it comes under weak AI. So for example, if you are having a smart speaker, self-driving car, okay, those are the examples of weak AI, because that you can do within 1 second of thought. And what can be in the category of strong AI or artificial general intelligence is the decision making. Okay, so suppose I ask you to compile a report on this lecture or on your summer internship or you're in a software group project. uh, I need to, a few of your classmates are over here, and I just need to talk to them. See, so I was giving you example of strong AI. See, suppose I ask you to generate a report on 1 week of stock market analysis, or if I ask you to generate your software group project report, summer internship report, that you cannot do within a 1 second thought. That needs you to make few crucial decisions. What should I place in my report? Which content needs to be placed in my report? This font should be included. This font does not need to be missed. The formatting should be done in this way. So this will take you a time of around 1 week to compile a whole report. So anything or any task which is not solved by a human in 1 second thought, that comes under the category of strong AI. And now you can understand why I'm always telling you that we had an unnecessary hype in artificial nano intelligence. Because the only progress until now that we have made is in artificial narrow intelligence. We have made no progress, or we have not concentrated at all in the field of artificial general intelligence or strong AI. Strong AI means that if you are given some task and it requires you to use your intelligence to solve it, and it is not a 1 second thought, you cannot do it immediately. You need some, like work needs to be done from using your intelligence, then it comes under the strong AI. There are many of the tasks that comes under strong AI. Robotics. Currently, we are not having any robot that could smell, taste. Then much more improvement is not made in, like you don't have a software which compiles report on your behalf. Okay, so that is all those things which is not done in 1 second thought, that comes under the strong AI. Weak AI, self-driving car. See, what a self-driving car does and you do is not a big difference. Okay, I ask you to find out number of cars ahead of you. You can give me an answer within 1 second, one or two. The same thing, the algorithm that runs in the self-driving car also tells you within 1 second using computer vision that two cars are ahead of us. So this is a 1 second thought. This does not require much intelligence. This requires our perception, that is vision and speech. Okay, so that falls under the weak AI or artificial narrow intelligence. Again, repeating the example of artificial narrow intelligence, you can say it like smart speaker, Alexa, Siri. That all comes under the artificial narrow intelligence. Then you can say self-driving car. Whatever the AI applications that currently we are using in farming and factories, fault detection, then AI smart farming, okay, those all comes under the category of weak AI, not strong AI. So we have not made any progress with the strong AI. Strong AI is for the researchers. They go for finding a problem and use that intelligence to solve that particular task using an AI technique. Or so for suppose there is some uh, thing in medical diagnosis, like X-rays and MRI scans. Still, they are not detected with a higher accuracy with any of the system we are having today, any of the algorithm or technique. So that is what strength AI is for. That go for solving that problem. How would you make the system identify as human is identifying the same MRI scan? That is where we need to improve. Another field is cognitive AI. In cognitive AI, it is a combination of cognitive computing plus artificial intelligence. Cognitive computing means our mental ability or our mental capacity or our intelligence. Okay, so there are some techniques in cognitive computing, and they are merged with the artificial intelligence. And this cognitive AI is nowadays very popular. There are other AIs are getting popular nowadays. The one is ethical AI, then other one is explainable AI. So this all are getting very popular nowadays. Okay, but I specifically concentrated on cognitive AI because ethical AI we don't need to deal it with right now. Okay, and explainable AI is still not emerged. Many of the things are not done in the explainable AI. It is just now getting the hype. So here is a live use case example what actually happens in cognitive AI. Whatever the job portal you are having right now, what it takes is as an input, it takes your CV. It assesses your skill, it finds your relevant job, and somewhat it shows you that the company pays for this particular position between this range. But I don't think that is enough. Okay, if you are making use of cognitive AI, then what it should actually give you. Okay, it should give you that here are your skills, we have assessed it, and this might be the career path that you should follow. So after assessing your skill, see, if you write I'm a .NET programmer, then the job portal is definitely going to give you the job with the .NET skill. But cognitive computing, it understands that though you are a programmer, you are writing your skill as a programmer, but your skill does not lies there. You are good at quality assurance or business development. So it shows you a career path on which you can live. Or even if your skill matches that you are a .NET programmer, then you should start with this position or this position at currently assessing your all details. So a career path suggestion is what you don't get it nowadays. Salary comparison, your salary comparison and the hike you demand or the salary company is paying to the similar employees. That is, there is no job portal at particular moment that gives you the salary comparison based on your skills or your assessment. So whatever the experience you carry, what salary should be paid to you must be given by the system. Job openings, every day you get a job, multiple job openings which are not relevant to you. But as you belong to the main domain area, you get it. So narrow down searches are not available to us. There are many other uses of cognitive AI. These fields are still exploring the capability of cognitive AI, smart IoT, cybersecurity, content AI, cognitive analytics in healthcare, intent-based NLP. So you can take these ideas for your AI mini project, go in a group, uh, have this kind of a project. Cybersecurity projects in AI, most of the students don't prefer to take. Also, if the project is quite big, you can also represent this particular thing in software group project also. So you can get all the theory over here. This particular PPT is uploaded into the AI folder. Okay. Moving on to the next topic, it is about the AI problems. See here, which we are just categorizing the problems into three different categories. The first one is mundane task, the second one is expert task, and the last one is a formal task. So which AI problems falls under the category of mundane task, which problems fall under the category of expert task, and which problems falls under the category of formal task is like now we are going to explore it. So mundane, if you go for the dictionary meaning, it says that boring task. Okay. Planning, see, in your textbook, you will be having a chapter that how to make a system plan something for you. So how to arrange a sequence of goals or actions to achieve your goals. That is what we used to do in Prologue also. That we state a sequence of goal and ultimate goal is achieved. Planning means at particular moment you are not having any software or robot to do a birthday party planning on behalf of you. One example I can give it to you is the birthday party. See, if I want to organize a birthday party, we can have. I personally need to generate invitations, send it to people, food menu, decorations, any arrangements. I need to take it personally if I want to plan my birthday party or someone else's birthday party. But instead, it would be better if I just would have a robot and I just say that plan a birthday party and give the instructions and the rest of the thing would be taken care by the robot. So planning is one of the things still we have not achieved in artificial intelligence. If you want to plan an event, you want a meeting with the agenda, everything needs human intervention into it. And minimizing human intervention is one of the goals of AI, minimizing human computer or human machine interaction. So planning is what we still needs to explore. Vision, we are quite good at with it, thanks to OpenCV and computer vision. So whatever now we are able to see, the computer is able to get it. The only thing it lacks is still if we are not feeding enough data, or the thing about is that the AI can recognize the face, but it still cannot recognize the expression on the face. That is where this field is lacking. Robotics, yes, we are lacking too much. Smell, touch, taste. Vision and speech we have achieved, but smell, touch, taste we have still not achieved. Natural language processing, a lot of things is done, but as social media is now having a huge amount of data, sentiment analysis, sarcasm detection, fake news detection, this all the things needs to be worked out with higher accuracy, because every day the media is flooding with a lot of fake data that we don't want. Trolling is one important thing. Impact of trolling, that is also people considered over now in natural language processing. These things are worked at, that people are working as a project, converting also machine, also language translation from Sanskrit to English, English to Sanskrit. These are the most of the works done, but there is a huge road ahead over here. Okay, video annotations, text image annotations, that is all needs to be done using natural language processing. The other one is expert task. The other category over here we have is of expert task. See, in this type of task, we require the knowledge of expert. Okay, here we require the knowledge of expert. So, a specialized training and specialized skill is fed into the system. Here, an expert will give its knowledge so that we can develop an AI system. For example, of medical diagnosis system. So, if any AI firm is planning to develop a medical diagnosis system or medical diagnosis app and launch it. See, data collection they will get from the medical reports and etc. That is given. But how much you can rely on a medical diagnosis system? An expert, a doctor, top doctors of the field would provide their advice. So this kind of AI systems are developed only when some expert provides the knowledge to it. A team of doctors in here it is not a practice, but in US and Canada, there are institutes or medical colleges which specifically collaborates with the AI firm and give their expert knowledge so that they can make a good application out of it with a higher accuracy. And constant research they are doing on this to have this. Another expert task is equipment repair. Currently, with the human intervention, we can do it, the repair. But, like if anybody has seen the movie Star Wars, there were the robots which were actually, like repairing that whole thing. So currently we are far from that thing. Computer configuration. Computer configuration, still I need to format my computer. Financial planning. We have achieved quite a good part over here at this particular moment. See, if you visit a bank website and you feed your data, even if you have an application that tracks your spend and transactions, so they will definitely give you that this you can invest in this particular scheme so that you can have cut on your income tax, etc., etc. Many of the things they provide you. See, if recently I came across that I was investing in one mutual fund, and the bank itself gave me the notification that now don't invest much in this. You can go for this option. So they provided financial planning to me that this is how you can maximize your investment and gain and reduce the income tax that you are paying. Okay. The AI problems. The last one is the formal tasks. Okay. Formal tasks are just games and mathematics. Chess, backgammon, checkers, this all comes under the category of AI problems, and these games require specialized intelligence to play it. Okay, without intelligence, you cannot play chess game, backgammon, chess, checkers. Mathematics. Previously, if I would say that I was also believing that there is no need of intelligence because we have equations, just feed the data into it and get a result out of it. But that doesn't happen. During my masters, I came across I have to do one project in which I have to find the real life application of one method that was Newton-Raphson method. And at that point of time, I argued with my teacher that this is a method where just fill the variables and it will get you the centroid. Okay, that is what it is needed, a center value or missing value. So it asks that we are building a software for it. Now tell me why we need to build a software for this application. If you're building this software, where it is going to be used in real life. So when I searched the internet and research papers for that, see, for earthquake prediction, this method was getting used, and in Canada and US, it was highly used. And this on basis of this report, that after applying the values in Newton-Raphson method, they were only able to build the next floor of the building. That is what suppose I read in that paper, and I get the information. So if we think that mathematics, solving mathematical problems is not a part of AI, then we are very much wrong, because here we are not aware about it. But our software is, like used at many other places to get the result out of. Say, by feeding the values into the Newton-Raphson method, what civil engineers were predicting that if I built a next floor, what will be the amount of damages if earthquake took place on the previous data they used to have. So statistics is very important. Theorem solving is one of the things that comes under this category of mathematics. If I am giving you something that solve this problem and prove it using Pythagoras theorem, then you people would be able to do it, and the same thing needs to be expected from the system. That is, I summarize this AI problems. Okay, you can refer it over here, which comes under the mundane task, that is ordinary or boring, formal task, and expert task. Okay, so you can refer this table for that how we are dividing AI problems into three categories: expert, mundane, and formal. Few examples are listed out over here. This problems will be saving it throughout the semester. Most of the problems will be covered in the second half of this unit only. AI technique. See, first line of this PPT, you will see intelligence requires knowledge. Intelligence, you are well aware of it now. You know the meaning of this word intelligence. Knowledge. Knowledge, I have been frequently stating that knowledge comes from experience. So, knowledge we can say is that this knowledge is gained by experience. But here in the this particular slide, here in this context, intelligence means information and knowledge means data. The author is, like telling data as knowledge and intelligence as information. What we require from knowledge is intelligence. But I could say it in another way that what I require from data is the information. So consider knowledge as data and intelligence as information. So here in your book, there are few less desirable properties of knowledge. It is given. I would say it as less desirable properties of data. So voluminous first is the less desirable property of data. We know that data is in huge amount, and like we collect tons and tons of data, and we just get a few grams of information out of it that we can like given as an analogy. So you are having a huge amount of data out of which there is a less amount of meaningful information that we extract it out. So having a huge amount of data is one of the less desirable properties of data. There are methods where we can reduce the volume of the data collection if we are collecting the data in an appropriate manner. But there is a tendency nowadays in the AI firms, they are just collecting the data so that at some point of time they can sell it out at a huge price. Hard to characterize accurately. See, you see having that data characterized into different parts is very difficult nowadays. So that is one of the less desirable property of data. Constantly changing. Okay. See, if you will be going to refer this slide this year, next year this will be changed. The book I used to refer for artificial intelligence was first edition. Now what you are referring is the third edition, and definitely there are changes in it. Ours was not divided into the unit wise that problem solving we are going to study this chapter. All of the content was given the same in the first book. So every year this data is constantly changing. For the stock market analysis, it is highly unpredictable. This week is something, next week is totally different. Because the prediction of data does not lie on the collection of data. It depends on the firm who are involved in all those processes. So predicting or using such technique for the data is very difficult. Differs from the data that can be used. Okay. Now you are nowadays what problem the IT firms are facing and why they are getting failed. The failure ratio is very high if you look at the stats. Why the failure ratio is high? Because they are collecting the data to sell it out at a huge price, or they are collecting the data without concerning their IT team. So when they actually give the data to the IT team, what happens? The team tells that we are not able to extract out the meaningful information of what the data you have collected. This is of no use. So the actual procedure needs to carry out is that you need to discuss with the IT team what type of data you need to collect and then apply. But nowadays what happens that whatever it is available to us freely, we collect it and then we use it. So it does not yield an accurate results. Even if you look at the data sets that you are provided in the hackathons or in the Kakal or any website where you are downloading your data sets, the information is highly, you can depend on it. So somewhere the accuracy is compromised, as we have to fill up the missing values. There are errors in data that cannot be rectified. So because of this reason, we are not getting the good results. So it differs from the data that can be used. So we are not collecting actually the data. We are always performing the retrospective study instead of the actual study. That is why we are not able to extract intelligence or information out of it. See, now what you need is an AI technique that will exploit this data and give you the answer. The core idea lies for the AI technique or AI over here is that feed the system, feed the machine a lot of the data, apply a technique and get your information needed out of it. That is what we are doing every time. Okay, so we are feeding the data a lot of in the system, getting the results. If you fill a small amount of data, you get a result. You can get justifiable result. If you feed a lot of amount of data, then you get. Sorry, students, for the interruption. So what you need over here is an AI technique is that you need a core idea that feed the data in the system, apply the technique and get your information extracted out of it. That is what here we need of an AI technique. So your technique should exploit the data or knowledge over here and it should represent the following points that are stated over here. See, your technique should capture generalization. Okay, so whatever the technique you apply on one data set, it should be applicable to the other data set provided by you. So for the hackathon, you must have seen that they are providing you training data sets and testing data sets. Okay. What happens after when you go on the day of the uh, test or hackathon day, they provide you with a different data set. So your technique should be generalized that it should work on the data sets that are constantly changing. It should be understood by the people who must provide it. If you are solving an AI problem, you must know that whether it is of classification or prediction. If you are applying a prediction technique to the classification work, this is not going to work. You should be, the third point says that you should be able to modify or correct errors, missing value handling, then rectifying errors in the data set. That should be also known to us. There should be a technique for this which will cover up all for us. It can be used in variety of situations. Okay. See, as I've given you the example previously of IT firms that they are collecting the data. So if you are collecting the data for a single purpose only, then you are not going to yield and not going to gain at all something from it. If you are going to use the data for the marketing purpose, for the decision making purpose, for the management purpose, for the financial purpose, using this data and information extracted out of it in multiple situations will give you something gain in this. Otherwise, it is a total failure of it. So Google uses your email ID for multiple purposes. The data of your email address, your locations, whatever so data Google is collecting, it is used using this data for multiple situations that we know that. So if you are able to use your data and technique and the information generated out of the technique in variety of situations, then we can say that this technique is working out. Okay. Now next thing. There are three types of popular AI techniques: the search, knowledge, and abstraction. Abstraction, self-driving car. See, the driver does not know how this car is driving on its own. That is abstraction. Use of knowledge, feed the data, apply the technique, get the results generated. Search, web search is one of the example of AI techniques which are common nowadays. So searching is also important. Next is the Turing test. See, this is the last topic of your chapter. Okay, the Turing test. This was proposed by Dr. Alan Turing, one of the pioneers in artificial intelligence in 1950. Okay, this test was proposed by Alan Turing to test that how can we say a machine to be intelligent? At what criteria the machine is termed to be intelligent? Okay, if the machine passes with the 70% results, then we can term the machine as intelligent. Otherwise, we cannot term the machine as intelligent. Now, what is exactly in the test? This test was used to carried out with Eliza. That was one of the popular chatbots in 90s. Okay, nowadays what it happens, most of the system, most of the chatbots will pass this test out, but in 90s when there was the first chatbot Eliza, this test was very difficult for Eliza even to crack it. Okay, but Eliza cracked it and it was termed as an intelligent program. So what is the setting in this particular test is that here you are having three persons, three actors. The first one is the human evaluator. The second one is another human that is sitting in one another room. And the third one is the machine that you want to test. Now, what exactly happens in the test? Okay, see, this all participants are separated in three rooms. And then its conversation needs to be taken place only through text channels like screen and keyboard. So the evaluator is having conversation with the machine, and evaluator is having conversation with the human also, but only through text and keyboard. Okay, nothing else then needs to be communicated. Okay, and the evaluator does not know in the prior that in which room there is machine and in which room there is human. It know that person evaluator knows that there is one machine and there is one human, but doesn't know in which room the human is placed and in which room the machine is placed. So the evaluator is having a questionnaire, and the evaluator is asking the questions to machine and the computer also, the human also. So both are answering, and basis of the answers given by the machine and human, if the evaluator says that in the room C, I think there is human, then the machine has passed its test with 70%, and we can term that machine to be intelligent. That is a whole the setting of the Turing test. So what happens over here is that human questioner, human respondent, and computer respondent. If the computer is able to respond like a human, and then if the human questioner declares the computer respondent to be the human respondent, then we can say that the machine is intelligent and it has cleared the Turing test. This test was, again I am repeating, done with the Eliza. That was a chatbot in 90s, very popular. It is not having voice, but yes, it was having the text, so we can question it out. The example is given in your book, how the computer failed at that particular time. Okay, but later on Eliza was accepted, it passed the test, and it was termed as an intelligent program. I hope I have made myself clear. This is your first chapter completed over here. Any doubt? Any doubt, students? I have downloaded the attendance sheet. Any doubt?
No, ma'am.
No,
No
ma'am.
doubt, ma'am.
So if you don't have any doubt, then I will terminate the meeting. Thank you.